everyone, welcome to Eden's Secret. Today we're going to be making some mini cupcake soaps. This video was very popular the last time I did it. So I've got these fabulous silicone molds I've had for years and years and years. They've hardly budged in all that time. So I'll put a link in the description box to these. And we're just going to lay them out. I'll get as many on the worktop as I possibly can. Because I want to make as many as I possibly can. So we're going to do the recipe for this this batch of soaps as well. Okay, so here is the recipe we're using. The link, the recipe is actually in the description box as well if you want to read it there. This is like every batch I make is this quantity of oils. My oils might change, but this is genuinely the oils that we're using today. So my oil phase, if you don't know what an oil phase is, that's all of your oils and butters melted down together. That's your oil phase. Your water phase is your lye, which is sodium hydroxide or caustic soda. You want the purest you can find. So 95% and above, 100% is the best, if that's what you can get. So we're using, it's a dead straightforward recipe, as you can see. It's 1 kilo of coconut oil. Now I will, in the description box below, I'll also put the pounds and ounces. So if you're overseas, you can see what the quantities are in pounds and ounces, because I know a lot of countries aren't on metric like we are here in England. So 1 kilo of coconut oil, 1 kilo of palm. I do like to use palm oil in my soaps, but it is sustainable. I love to use sustainable palm oil because we're not robbing people in poor countries of an income to feed their families. I don't agree with non-sustainable palm, but I very much agree with sustainable palm. I don't want to rob those poor children that are in families that will have no income and no way of feeding themselves if they haven't got the palm that they've been farming for years and years and years. So that's why I like to use palm oil. 600 grams of olive oil, and it's just regular olive oil. I do use the extra virgin olive oil. You can use any olive oil you want. I literally just get that from the supermarket. The sunflower oil, 600 grams. Again, I get that from the supermarket. 250 grams of cocoa butter you'll find online. In England, Gracefruit do nice quality cocoa butter and shea butter. So 250 grams of cocoa butter, 250 grams of shea butter. So you see the recipe's dead straightforward if you're measuring. If you want to do half the quantity that I'm doing, just half those, and then you need to run it through it should just work out as half of what I'm doing here, so we'll stick to that. So we've got all our oils and butters melted in the pan ready to go. and I've already mixed in my water phase. Now I'm doing a 0% superfat. I just think your soap lasts longer if you do a lower superfat. I always usually do a high superfat. I don't usually do a 0 superfat. I usually do 2% or 4%. Now I used to do a very high superfat, but I don't anymore. So what you'll need for that is 553.30 grams of lye. Now I've run this through the Brambleberry lye calculator, which I'll put a link in the description box below to that. Now I'm only using 700 grams of water, but you can use any quantity between 700 and 1200 grams of water if you want to. More water will probably keep it fluid a little bit longer. I like to use a very low water content in my soap, so nearly every batch is 700 grams. But it's not going to affect you if you're a little bit concerned about your recipe moving quicker. Just use 1200 grams of water, it'll give you more soap. Now all of these are basically at room temperature, and that's it. That's the recipe. As I said, I'll put the ounces and pounds in the description box below, and I'll also put the Brambleberry soap calculator in there as well, a link to that, because if you want to halve these oils, you might just want to run it through the water phase. Now I will run it through the calculator at half of the quantity here. So you'd be using 500 grams of coconut oil, 500 grams of palm, 300 grams of olive oil, 300 grams of sunflower oil, what is it, 125, yeah, 125 grams of cocoa butter and 125 grams of shea butter. That's what you'd be using if you're doing half. So I'm guessing when I run it through the calculator, it'll be 272 grams of lye, and then you could use 700 grams of water, 800 or a kilo of water, or 500 grams of water if you wanted to. But I'll run it through the calculator just to make sure that I'm not confusing anybody there. I might actually write the recipe out with the full size that I'm using here, and I can probably write the half size recipe in the description box as well. Okay, so hope that all helps you. Right, what we're ready to do now is we're going to mix some colours. When I'm making minis, I usually use lots of different piping tips, but I'm actually going to keep them all the same today, and I'm going to do the same design for every single one, but I'm just going to change the colour and the fragrance for each one. So we've got our soap ready to go here, and you'll need a jug, a measuring jug, where you can actually see the writing on the side of the, the measurement on the side of the jug. So I'm just giving that a final mix there, and we're ready to go. So I actually mix my oil until it's opaque. I don't mix it until it gets thick, because then it's impossible to work with. Now you're going to need fragrance oils that don't move very fast, because you're doing lots of different colours, so you need time. If you use a faster moving fragrance, then it's going to make it more difficult to make lots of different, I guess, you're splitting the batch into several different quantities, so I'm going to pour 900 grams into there and choose my first fragrance that we're going to do today. Is going to be I want a non-discolouring fragrance as well, so I'm going to do pink, pale orange, pale lemon and pale lilac. They're going to be my colours. So I guess the first one I do could be a berry smell. So I'm going with blackberry jam, and this is from Soap Supplier, and there's nearly a kilo of soap batter in here, so I'm going to put about 1 ounce, 30 mils, 1 ounce. 1 ounce is 28 mils, so round about 1 ounce of fragrance in there. Now this fragrance does move fairly fast, but I'm just advising people not to do that. Obviously I've been doing this for many years. And I'm using the violet blue mica from Mineral Makeup Ingredients. This one. It does seem to take quite a lot of mica for this colour. So I would say this fragrance moves at a medium speed. We're going to start at the back, which is right in that corner there. Hope I don't get in the way of the camera. Actually, I'm not. Right, because the camera's in the way, I don't want my head right in the way of the camera, so we're just going to pour those out. I can't reach into that far corner without getting in the way of the camera, so that's a bit of titanium dioxide in that. So I can feel this is thickening up a little bit now. So I'm going to try and go a little bit faster. You make more mess the faster you go. Oh, I mean, look at that. It could hardly be any more perfect. It's filled 3 trays, so that's 36. There's 12 on each tray. That's 36 mini cupcakes. I'm doing quite a few of each colour because I've got 2 decent orders of mini cupcakes that I need to get out. So I'm just going to let these thicken up a bit, and then I'm going to move this one into that top corner. Well, I'll move this one up that one up and then just slide that one along once it's set. So the next batch are going to be a lovely pale pink colour. So I'm just going to put 1/4 teaspoonful into there. I'm going to mix that in. And this beautiful fragrance from Soap Supplier is called Velvet Rose and Oud. It's a Jo Malone dupe, which I didn't know until this weekend. And it's a pretty spot on dupe as well. So again, 1 ounce of fragrance in there. And it holds very well in the soap. I'm now using this fragrance in my Rosebud Cupcake soaps. It soaks beautifully. It doesn't move as fast as the blackberry jam. And the blackberry jam, you've got quite a long time to work with it, but it's one of those that seems to thicken up stiff all at once. This one you've got more time, so I would call it, I'll call the blackberry jam a medium speed for moving to trace, not trace, to solid basically. And this one would be a slow to medium, so I wouldn't call it slow, I would call it in between. Yeah, I guess you would call it medium rare in a stick. It does smell gorgeous, that. It smells like money. It smells expensive. So the next colour we're going to use is the Orange 220Q from Mineral Makeup Ingredients. All the links to the colours are in the description box. Now you don't need much of this colour because it's really strong. So put probably 1/6 teaspoonful in there. But I am going to put a little bit more in. And you'll notice I'm not using titanium dioxide today either. And again, from Soap Supplier, we're using Watermelon Margarita fragrance. This one soaks beautifully. It doesn't discolour at all. Their fragrances are really good, honestly, and they're so affordable. UK getting better and better and better with their fragrance oils. I get people sending me messages all the time asking me where to buy fragrance oils, and if you watch my videos, most of my new videos, I'm telling you where to get the fragrances from and the colours. There's one fragrance I don't ever want to share, but I think in my head I might share it when I hit 100,000 subscribers, and that's my cashmere cream fragrance. So don't forget, I'm doing Instagram now as well. I don't do Facebook so much. I don't know why. I've never been that keen on Facebook. And after watching that program, I think it was called The Great Hack on Netflix, that's put me off altogether. I think it was called The Great Hack. Yeah, I'm sure it was. If you haven't seen it, you must watch it, because we really are influenced by what we see on Facebook, and they are feeding us information. Like, I bet there's not a person on the, well, I say on the planet, I mean in the Western world, that didn't see pictures of Hillary Clinton fainting, and you know, it's about the Brexit thing. It's really, really crazy what is going on, and the influence not Facebook has, but the people that are using Facebook, and Facebook are allowing it as well. For a long time, like even before I knew all this, I keep wanting to delete my Facebook page, but I never do. So I don't know if I'll ever delete it, but if you wonder why I don't use it, it's not even because of what I've seen. It's just, I don't know, I'm just not keen on it. Okay, so the next colour we're going to be using is a lovely yellow 240Y. Yeah, 240Y again. That's from Mineral Makeup Ingredients. I made the labels myself just so I could show you when I'm actually using a colour, what colour I'm using. Just makes it easier for me to remember where I got it from as well. It really doesn't matter that there's a little bit of soap left in from the other colours. It's not going to affect it much. And again, this time we're going to be using Bakewell Tart from Soap Supplier. I can't remember how this moves, but we'll soon find out. It smells fabulous, this. It's very Battenbergy. Now, because I'm running out of space on my countertop, I still want to do blue and green. So pastel blue and pastel green. But I'm going to finish making these ones first, and then I'll make the pastel blue and pastel green. I mean, I could use the kitchen worktop, but I try not to use the kitchen for making soap at all, but sometimes I do. But now seems like I didn't put enough in there. And if anyone wants to pick up that sometimes happens, people mention about me not wearing gloves. Yeah, you should wear gloves. But I've been doing this for at least 11 years, I think. I've been making cold processed soap, and I always wear the gloves for the piping part, but the pouring part I tend not to. And I don't know, a couple of people have said like how it's not hygienic not wearing gloves, and I just think we're wearing gloves to protect ourselves. We're not wearing them for hygiene reasons. If you go into a restaurant, or if you watch any cooking programs, you'll see they're all making the food we eat without gloves on. Now that's got to be less hygienic than doing the soap. So if we can eat soap where people have made it with their eat food where we've made it without gloves, I'm sure we can. The soap thing's okay. I mean, you can imagine how many times a day we wash our hands when we're soap makers. So the gloves are just for protection, they're not for hygiene reasons. I'm sure that person who loves to pull me up about it will probably pull me up in this video as soon as I've mentioned it. There we go, just because we had one that was a little low, I'm just stealing some out of the other compartments to fill that up. Right, so now we're going, actually, if you look here, we can see the fastest moving fragrances. This one is set already, that's the blackberry jam, so that's definitely a medium. The watermelon is thickening up second fastest, so that'll be not quite a medium speed. This one, which was the rock, rose and oud, is still not solid. And obviously I've just poured the Bakewell tart, so I don't know what that one's going to be like yet. But it looks like it's moving at a medium trace. Okay, so we're ready to pipe. I've already had a go at these blackberry ones, but the fragrance moved that fast I couldn't do it. So what I've done is I've made another batch for the topping. Again, I've measured 900 mils, just the same, and I've put just a little bit of the blackberry jam fragrance in, so it'll give me a lot more time to pipe. I'm piping with the Wilton 1M tip, and as you can see I'm starting right in the centre, going round the edge and then round the edge again. I'm not going back into the center at all. Now once you've piped these, you can't move them until the piping has gone stiff, because they'll flop down and it'll spoil them. So just pipe them and leave them exactly where they are. And the reason I'm not putting a pointed top on them is so they fit in my packaging boxes nicely. And I don't want to bore you with every colour, so I'm going to pipe all the colours and then come back and show you what they all look like when they're done. In the kitchen, I've done some pastel green and pastel blue. You'll notice here the topping is a lot darker than the bottom. It looks a bit washed out the bottom, so I thought I'd do the top darker. I don't know, there's something about the purple. It just looks dirty when you don't use much colour in it. But that's the only colour that is like that. And then after every colour, I'm going to have to wash and dry the piping bag and redo the tip. So what I'm going to do, what I want to do is I've got some sugar pearls here, and yes, they're just sugar sprinkles. That's another question everybody asks me. Are they made of sugar? Yes, they are. So I'm just going to drop a few of those into the center of each one. And I'm going to do the same with the white ones, just so it gives it a little bit of decor in the middle. And I'm going to do that with every colour. And we're just going to put a little bit of glitter on here. I can't remember what this colour is, but I'm pretty sure it's from Just a Soap. It might be crimson. I'll give you a close look of these right at the end once I've piped all of them. Just makes them look a little bit prettier. bye.